children. I don't know why I called you children, although you are children, but I was just going to say hello, and I was going to read you a story. We're going to do 2 stories today. One is called Hop on Pop by Dr. Seuss, and one is called Miss Mouse Takes a Holiday. Here we go. Hop on Pop by Dr. Seuss. Up, pup. Pup is up. Pup cup. Pup cup. Cup on pup. Mouse, house. Mouse on house. House, mouse. House on mouse. All tall. We all are tall. All small. We are all small. All ball. We all play ball. Ball wall. Up on a wall. All fall. Fall off the wall. Day play. We play all day. Night fight. We fight all night. He, me. He is after me. Him, Jim. Jim is after him. CB. We see a bee. CB 3. Now we see 3. 3 tree. 3 fish in a tree. Fish in a tree, how can that be? Red, red, they call me Red. Red, bed, I am in bed. Red, Ned, Ted, and Ed, in bed. Pat, Pat, they call him Pat. Pat sat on a hat. Pat, cat, Pat sat on cat. Pat, bat, Pat sat on a bat. No, Pat, no, don't sit on that. Sad dad, bad head. Dad is sad, very, very sad. We had a bad day. What a day Dad had. Thing, thing, what is that thing? Thing, sing. That thing can sing. Long, song long, a long, long song. Goodbye, thing, you sing too long. Walk, walk, we like to walk. Walk, talk, we like to talk. Hop, pop, we like to hop, on top of pop. Stop, you must not hop on pop. Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown, upside down. Pup up, Brown down. Pup is down, where is Brown? Where is Brown? There is Brown. Mr. Brown is out of town. Back, black, Brown came back. Brown came back with Mr. Black. Snack, snack, eat a snack. Eat a snack with Brown and Black. Jump, bump, he jumped, he bumped. Fast, pass, he went. Pass, fast. Went, tent, sent. He went into the tent. He sent him out of the tent. Wet, get. 2 dogs get wet. Help, yelp. They yelp for help. Hill, will went uphill. Will, hill still. Will is uphill still. Father, mother, sister, brother. That one is my older brother. My brothers read a little bit, little words like if and it. My father can read big words too, like Constantinople and Timbuktu. Say, what does it say? See, he, me, we. Pat, pup, pop. He, 3, tree, B. Top, hop, stop. Ask me tomorrow, but not today. Excellent, everybody. That was our first book, Hop on Pop. Now we're going to read our second book, Oak Tree Tales. Miss Mouse takes a holiday. Mommy Cassie got this book in 1985. Miss Mouse had only just got up and was about to have her early morning cup of tea when there was a loud knock at the door. "Who can that be?" she said, glancing at the clock. "No one visits at this time in the morning." On the doorstep was the postman with an express delivery letter. "You'll have to sign for it," he said, thrusting the letter into her hand. Miss Mouse had never received an important letter before and couldn't wait to open it. "Probably bad news," the postman said grimly. "They usually are." Miss Mouse ignored him and shut the door. He was always grumpy, especially when the sun was shining. Miss Mouse poured herself a cup of tea and started to read her letter. It was from her cousin Alice, whom she hadn't seen for at least 4 years. The letter was very brief and to the point. "Have to go and look after my sick mother. Has been away. Please come and take care of the children. It will be a holiday for you. Love, Alice." "Well, that's not bad news," said Miss Mouse delightfully. "From that, I can remember she has 2 sweet little children." When she finished her tea, Miss Mouse quickly dressed up and went around to Mistress Hedgehog's house, not knowing exactly how long she would be away. She would have to make arrangements for someone to look after her house. Mistress Hedgehog was most obliging and said she would do all she could help. "After all, that's what friends are for, my dear." Miss Mouse was on her way back home when she met Master Rabbit, who, having nothing better to do, wanted to stop and chat. "I really can't stop," said Miss Mouse, and explained why she was in such a hurry. The rabbit was most helpful and said that he would escort her some of the way. "In fact, I could push you on my barrow," he said, knowing that kind of mishaps which occurred when the rabbit was around. Miss Mouse declined the invitation, but said that she would be most obliged if he would carry her case. "Case, who's going away?" said a voice from above. Sir Squirrel strode into the clearing. He was obviously on his way to some kind of business meeting, as he was wearing a striped suit and carried an important-looking briefcase. "My dear chap," he said, patting the rabbit on the back, "we'll be sorry to see you go." "Oh, I'm not going anywhere," said Miss Rabbit. "It's Miss Mouse who's going away." For some unknown reason, Sir Squirrel looked slightly disappointed and muttered, "Oh, well, better luck next time," as he strode off down the woodland path. All that day, Miss Mouse made preparations for leaving the house. There was a great deal to do. She cleaned every room from top to bottom, watered the pot plants, put a note out for the milkman, canceled the morning papers, and last of all, packed her case. Before she left the following morning, she gave Mistress Hedgehog her key, and after a brief farewell, set off with the rabbit carrying her case. "Be sure to write," called Mistress Hedgehog. The rabbit went as far as the edge of the wood, which was roughly halfway, and then Miss Mouse thanked him for his help and continued on her way. It was almost sunset by the time she reached the meadow where her cousin lived. It was a very pretty meadow with lots of buttercups, daisies, and sweet-smelling clovers. Through the middle ran a small stream, which Miss Mouse remembered she must cross to get to her cousin's house on the other side. "I had quite forgotten how pretty it is," she said as she caught her sight of the house. It was built low in a bank, surrounded by wild roses, honeysuckles, and clumps of moss. Gently she knocked on the door, which was opened almost immediately by a pretty mouse holding a baby. "My dear Miss Mouse, how lovely to see you," said her cousin Alice. "Do come in." After they exchanged greetings, Alice went to make a welcome cup of tea while Miss Mouse held a sweet baby. "He's so sweet," she cooed. "I expect her other children are quite grown up by now." "Oh, yes," called Alice from the kitchen. They can be quite a handful sometimes." So she came back carrying a tray and then put the baby in the crib while they drank their tea and caught up on family news. Afterwards, Alice said that as she had to make an early start in the morning, perhaps Miss Mouse would like to see the others. "Thankfully, they are sound asleep at the moment," she laughed as they led the way down the corridor. Miss Mouse didn't quite see how 2 small children could be so much of a problem that is until Alice opened the bedroom door. There weren't two children, but masses of them. The entire room was lined with beds, cots, cribs, and even hammocks. Gosh, gasped Miss Mouse. Yes, aren't they lovely? Alice whispered. Miss Mouse was so surprised that she could hardly speak. Oh, lovely! She agreed in amazement and tried to count the beds. She had reached 10 when Alice hustled her out and took her back into the corridor to a tiny room where Miss Mouse would sleep. Miss Mouse was in complete flurry. What would she do with all of them? There must be hundreds of them in there. It was with mixed feelings that she went to bed that night, glad of the best rest, but dreading the day to come. My name's Katie, said a voice from the bottom of the bed. Miss Mouse opened one eye sleepily. Sitting on the bed was a little mouse eating a slice of toast, which had marmalade dripped in large blobs onto the eiderdown. Oh dear, the day has become, Miss Mouse whispered to herself. Alice went soon after breakfast, leaving Miss Mouse with an extremely long list of do's and don'ts. The first thing she did was to try and learn all of the names of the children, but there were so many of them, and they all appeared to look alike. It seemed to be an impossible task. It was then that Miss Mouse came up with a brilliant idea. She would all give them all numbers. Quickly, she cut out lots of pieces of paper and numbered them, explaining to the little mice that they must keep them pinned on their backs at all times. The first day was a complete disaster, and Miss Mouse seemed to spend all her time wiping dirty fingers, changing muddy clothes, and preparing meals and washing dishes. It was an absolute relief when bath time came, and she knew that within an hour they would all be sound asleep. Or would they? Apart from getting up in the middle of the night to give number 2 a drink of water, and then having to change the bed when he spilt it, cuddling number 10 when he had a nightmare, finding a rag doll when number 12 had lost at the bottom of the bed, reading a quick story to number 4 because Mummy always did. Apart from all of that, it was a peaceful night, and eventually Miss Mouse did get to sleep and woke up the following morning feeling completely exhausted. The day was warm and bright, and Miss Mouse decided that she would take them all on a picnic. The children thought that it was a wonderful idea and even suggested they might go. It's got a place where we can paddle, said number 6. And there's a lot of mud, added number 11 in delight. There's hundreds and hundreds of hiding places, yelled number 10. You got lost last time, and Daddy had to spend all night looking for you. Number 3 reminded him, but I got stuck. No, number 10 argued. It wasn't my fault. You shouldn't have climbed so far up the tree, said number 9. Oh dear, said Miss Mouse, pressing a hand to her head. Perhaps we should choose somewhere else to have a picnic. Oh no, you'll love it, they all cried. Miss Mouse wasn't too sure she agreed, but nevertheless allowed herself to be led along to the picnic place. It was indeed a lovely spot, and surprisingly, the children played all morning without any disasters occurring. After an early lunch, Miss Mouse began to doze in the sunshine. At first, it was only a little doze, but as the afternoon wore on and the sun grew warmer, she drifted into a deep sleep. After all, she had lost such a lot of sleep the night before. It was the night air which woke her sleepily. She opened her eyes and shivered. It was cold, dark, and very, very quiet. Suddenly, Miss Mouse leaped to her feet and looked around frantically. There wasn't any children in sight. After hour, she went up and down the meadow, calling out their numbers, but there was no reply. The children had gone. Miss Mouse was horrified. What could she do? Where could she look? At last, she looked no further, and shaking with fear and exhaustion, she stumbled back to the house. Surprise, surprise, they all yelled as they flung the kitchen door open. Miss Mouse looked at them in a stunned silence. The table was laid for tea, and the kettle hissed on the hob, and every single one of the children was there safe and sound. Come and sit down, said number 10, pulling out a chair. We've made you a lovely tea of ice cream and sausages. I couldn't eat a single thing, said Mouse weakly as she fell into the chair. The following morning, Miss Mouse sent a telegram by pigeon post. It was addressed to Mistress Hedgehog and contained one word, help. Mistress Hedgehog arrived late that night and immediately took charge of the situation. The very first thing she did was to send Miss Mouse to bed. You look as if you could do with a holiday, my dear, she laughed. The rest of the week went by clockwork. Mistress Hedgehog divided all the children into teams and they were given each a chore to do every day. Meals were eaten in 3 sittings, and everyone washed up their own plates. Every afternoon they were taken for a walk and then allowed to play. Bath time was precisely at 6:30, followed by a story and then bed. On Saturday morning, Alice arrived home to find the house spick and span, lunch almost ready, and the children playing peacefully in the garden. She was most grateful to Miss Mouse and Mistress Hedgehog. "I suppose you wouldn't like another holiday next year?" she asked Miss Mouse. "Only if I can bring a friend," laughed Miss Mouse. And that is our second story, called Miss Mouse Takes a Holiday. Thank you all so much for listening to this awesome stories, and I can't wait until we have story time next time.